don't know why, but this dress with this hair is giving me like Mrs. Weasley vibes, and I'm kind of here for it. Hello, I'm Olga. Welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to share with you how I made this dress that I'm wearing. It's a journey, so be warned. I made this dress out of a ton of offcuts, essentially. I work as a freelance content creator for the brand Minerva. A lot of people know them in the sewing community. They sell fabric, and I've been working with their Viscose Challis range, their exclusive range. I saved up a lot of scrap. All of the pieces were a little bit small. Kept seeing this trend everywhere of people making patchwork clothes, and I thought that if I worked with all of my same fabric offcuts and scraps and etc., it would look really cool, and it would be it just get a really nice result. My idea is to use this one, which is Vogue 8577. I've made this before. I made view C, but I'm thinking that view A is going to be, obviously because I work as a freelance creator and I'm also a Minerva Brand Ambassador, this pattern and all the fabrics that I used, including the lining in this video, all of these were sent to me for free to make other videos for Minerva.com. So to start off, I got my fabric and I would cut it into 5cm strips. Try to keep like grain lines and stuff in mind. And then I used my cutting mat guides, I guess, printed on it, those lines, and I used it to cut 5cm by 5cm little squares. And I basically did the fabric folded so that I would cut more squares in one go, just because otherwise this already took me forever, and if I did it on the single layer, it would have taken even longer. So yeah, I just continuously cut strips, then put the strips on the mat and cut them into squares, and then put them all right side up so that I could sew them more easily. And I just went ahead and did that a bunch of times. It depended on the offcuts as well. So like cuts that were kind of lengths of fabric still that were weirdly shaped or whatever, but they were still kind of a little bit lengthy, like the one you saw me cut at the beginning of this clip. Then I would do this method. If it was just like a little small offcut, a little like scrap, then I would try to get as many squares out of it as possible, and it might be on the single layer. But I actually started this process with cutting those first, and then I moved on to the bigger chunks of fabric because I wanted to kind of use those up first, because obviously bigger chunks of fabric are easier to repurpose. So yeah, that's just a lot of this, just a lot of it. When I had all my fabric cut, I put, little piles next to my sewing machine and just, stitched them together. First I had like a pattern in mind, but then I just kind of started going because it was a lot. It was a really big project. So yeah, I made the panels roughly the sizes of the pattern pieces that I was going to be cutting, not only because visually it helped me to know how far along the project I was, but also because I felt like making a really big panel that I would then cut my pattern pieces out of would be more wasteful. So yeah, I just rinsed and repeated, pressed in between every now and again. At first I started pressing constantly, like every time I sewed a few rows. And then I quickly realized that would take way too long. So yeah, I just pressed whenever I got, every 5 or 6 rows. And as this was a scrap busting project, I also used scrap threads, whatever kind of spools I had left of any kind of shade of pink. I used. I also used some white as well, so if I had any bobbins that had thread from other projects that were pink or white or any shade in this color range, I used. I'm sorry, I just woke up from a nap, so I'm still kind of waking up. I'm sure like future me has made like a much more eloquent intro. I'm sure you're like all up to date. So I'm just gonna jump in and talk about the skirt. Currently, the project is in these little boxes. Original plan. Clearly, I don't have enough fabric to make this skirt. So then I decided to make this skirt. which is the Berta 118 from 1020, which is from the October 2020 issue. I was going to make this skirt with this top. Simple enough, seemed like a great idea. However, still not enough fabric. I have this much fabric left. This is how far I've gotten on the second panel for the skirt. This is the first panel that I'd made for the front of the skirt. So this is how much I've got right now. So, change of plans. What I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to, instead of making these like panels that have this shaping already for like the skirt that I was going to make, I'm going to just make like rectangular panels that are straight, you know, on all sides, gather them to like fit the bodice and make something really simple. Because I've already have this panel that has these little, I'm gonna, I think just I don't even know what I'm gonna do with this one, actually. I'm not sure, because what I want to do, you can't see me. Sorry. So this is like the straight edge of that panel, right? So I'm thinking something like this, right? Where it's kind of like a straight skirt and then we like kind of gather it up here to fit. That's what I'm thinking. Knee length as always, but I don't want it to go all the way around. I want it to be like 4 panels so that I can have pockets. I'm going to sort of complete this, so finish these rows all the way to the end, and then I will make a second panel that is the same size as this one. So as for the other stuff we have here, some of these we're not going to need anymore because I'm not going to be making the skirt the way that I was going to. Okay, so this is actually the waistbands, which might not be like might not be a bad idea to keep these. I've already pinned these to the fabric just so that I knew how much I was making. So we have this little panel. This is folded, so I'm already cutting 2. This is for the bodice back, the bodice front. Oh, turns out this isn't just this project. I have other projects in there. Oh, I have more fabric. That's good to know. Oh, I forgot about this. Should make something with that. Cute little doggy embroidery. And then we have this panel, which is the middle back. What's that? Middle back. What's middle back? Oh wait, that's already like this is already like a waistband type of thing. Then we have the yoke and then the middle front, I guess, which is like the waistband type of placing. It means that I have more fabric here. And I also have this, which was for the other skirt. It's like the hip bits of the skirt of the cutout of the hip. So that's also not going to be needed. But I want to cut pockets. But I think the pockets can be made out of lining. Like, who cares? So I'm going to focus first on getting the skirt panels done. And then if I have enough fabric, I'll cut out the pockets out of this and the facings. Otherwise, the facings and the pockets are going to be out of some either other scrap fabric or lining fabric, and we're just gonna make it work. So I have a little update for you. We have 2 like big panels that are going to be cut in half so that I have a total of 4 skirt panels that then will be gathered at the waist. It'll be like sort of a straight skirt, but not really. Like, I don't want to do darts or anything like that, so it's just gonna be like, I just dropped a pin. Okay. I'm wearing shoes, so it's okay. Right, so I have my skirt stuff. One of them was kind of hard to get done, like the one that already had the cut, like the shaping, because I had to like sew L shapes and stuff, and that didn't come out amazing, but I still have to press it, and I think after I press it, it's going to look a little bit better, and even if it doesn't, I don't really care. I'm at the point of this project where I've already spent so many hours sewing, and I haven't even got to like sew the dress, that I'm just like, I don't really care that much anymore. And I think that's a bad thing. Second skirt panel actually came together really quickly. I had a few squares that or like smaller panels that are already made, so I just stitched those together and got the skirt made. I still had to make like a few rows of this, and I've also made 3 panels for the pockets. I still need to press these. I need to make 1 more panel for pockets, and this is a like 10 squares by 5, and then I'm going to be also making the facing. I don't know if I need it to be quite this long, actually. I don't think I do, but I'm going to be making the facing out of this as well. I still have this little bit of fabric. I've run out of one of the colors, so I still have this. I'm absolutely sure that I would run out if I was making that other skirt, but I think I'm gonna have a little bit left over after I finish this. I'm not sure, but either way, I'm quite happy with the decision that I made, just because like the other one, I was so scared that I was gonna run out of fabric, and what was I gonna do if I did run out of fabric? Like, I was really starting to feel overwhelmed by that, and that made me not want to continue pursuing this project. So I decided that it was better to have it finished and done and out of the sewing room than to have something just sitting here because I'm too scared to finish it. This needs to be a series. I don't know if I already said that at the beginning, because like I'm deciding this now and making this, but then the intro is going to be filmed later on from where I'm experiencing this right now, but in your timeline that already happened. Video is like YouTube kind of time traveling. Yeah, I feel like it could be a really fun series where I just finish half-finished projects, and I have a lot of half-finished projects, or between that and like all of this fabric that I have here that I like have had for multiple years, a lot of it, I feel like this would be really fun where I have to come up with ideas to get rid of it, because some of it I genuinely have. Some of it I have ideas for, and some of it I don't. And some of it I want to make a specific thing, but actually don't have enough fabric, and that is like blocking me. It makes me like, it makes it so that I can't think of a different idea because I already have an idea. I just don't have enough fabric of that. I don't know if this made any sense. This was just a weird rant. I do still have to make 1 panel for the pocket and the facings, but my dog is wanting to go out, and I want to oil my machine because it's doing a bit more noise than it's supposed to, and this fabric sheds so much, and I just want to give it a little clean and oil it. I haven't oiled it in like 2 months, and I sew a lot, so that is way too long. And I want to put in a new needle tomorrow because I think that's also not, I don't know, I don't remember the last time I changed my needle, and that's not good. So I'm gonna do a little sewing machine maintenance now. Probably tomorrow I'm gonna get back to this so I can actually finish making all the panels and then get started making, like actually sewing the dress. And my hope is that I can finish this dress. I don't know if I can make it the whole dress tomorrow, but like today's Sunday, so by Tuesday to have this dress finished so that I can do something else. The dog waiting for me to finish filming, and all the little sheddies from this fabric. Like, look at that. And he's just laying on it. I know, bud. I'm just gonna finish this. Hi. Hi, who's a good boy? You're a good boy. Yeah. Good boy. He is a good boy. Okay, so in the end, I decided to, instead of cutting 2 big panels into 4, one of them is going to be the back. I don't need the center back seam, so I only cut one of the skirt panels in half and yeah, kept the other one whole. I had enough to make the pockets and the facings, but yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, so I got all that done, and then I started cutting out my pattern pieces out of the actual panels, and cut out my notches, do all that good stuff. And instead of having darts, I basically put gathering stitches where the darts would go and just gathered that up. That gives you a little bit more room because it makes the bodice sort of less fitted, but it still kind of fits the same like waist measurement, I guess. So yeah, I worked out really good for this garment. It depends what you're going for. I think it could be like a bad choice depending on what you're doing. It just like everything in sewing. So yeah, then I started putting things together, putting the waistband together and yeah, just sewing all the pieces following the pattern instructions. This is a really simple pattern because you just put the fronts together with the back at the shoulders and at the sides. You put the waistband together and then you sew the waistband to the bodice, and same, put the skirt together, sew it to the waistband. Pretty easy. For the gathering stitches, I essentially put 2 lines of gather in, always do 2 at least, more if it's a really fidgety or like really heavy fabric, but normally 2. Very wide stitches on your sewing machine, leave the tails long, and then when you're actually gathering the piece, what I do is I'll tie off one end of the, like on one side, both ends I'll tie them to each other, and that means that on that side it can't like go anywhere, and then I'll pull the threads on the other side, and that way I am not like losing gathers. I feel like this is something that I used to experience, and once I started tying them off, it stopped happening. Yeah, so then I'll pin everything in place, kind of move the gathers where I want them to go, pin it in place. So pretty simple stuff. And the only thing I'm doing for finishing on this dress is pressing, pretty much. I'm not even pressing seams open, I'm just pressing them to one side because there's already so many seams on this. And I'm not really taking the time to serge anything because it's going to be fully lined. And yeah, just thought it would save some time, and it definitely did because this came together super quickly. So next day, I have made the dress pretty much. I've done the outside. Yeah, I think it looks really cute actually. I like the gathering. At the front, I kind of spaced out the gathers, and at the back, I did it all in like one position. And I'm quite glad that I did gathers here at the bottom instead of the darts. because I tried the dress over top what I was wearing yesterday, and it fit pretty well, so without being like really tight and like sculpted to my body, or like fitted, not sculpted. But I'm quite happy with that because this is going to be something that I want to wear around the house to be really comfortable in, to maybe like do housework or sewing and stuff. So I don't want it to be like super fitted. I've also had some issues with like weight fluctuations recently, and the dress that I made from this pattern before right now doesn't fit me, and I only made it like 3 or 4 months ago. Yeah, so I was thinking about this last night while I was trying to fall asleep, is that I still have the facings here, but I'm not sure if I'm going to need / use the facings, because the facings go up to like here, right? Anyway, we're gonna have this like squared off point instead of like, and I'm thinking, because I'm gonna fully line it anyway, I think I'm just going to make exactly the same dress, like all of the same pattern pieces, in a lining, and then just like stitch them to each other, and the lining can work as facing. I'm gonna do like fun buttons probably, like I have a very, I mean, I think it's a big collection. That's my button collection. There's more behind the mannequin that you can't see. So I have a pretty big vintage button collection, and I have a lot of like one-off buttons that I don't get to use because I only have one. So I'm thinking about using like some colorful buttons on this that I only have like one of. Another thing that I realized last night was that I stitched this together, the shoulder seams, and I probably shouldn't have if I want to have like a totally seamless lining, because this is sleeveless. I think it's really cute. I'm not sure until I wear it if I will want to wear it out, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I need to figure out what lining I'm going to use. So I have this pink lining, which I actually used to make the other version of this dress. I don't know if I have enough. I think I do. I don't know if I was saving this for something. I think I'm going to go ahead and use this. I think it'd be really cute with the pink. I think that will match pretty nicely.
So what I ended up doing with the lining was I basically constructed the whole lining. It's exactly the same as constructing the dress. And what I did was I pinned all around the neck edge and the front facing. I left the bottom hem free, and I obviously left the armholes free as well. So I pinned all around, I stitched that down, and I think I serged that. I can't remember. But yeah, I think I serged that and pressed that, all that. And then I also stitched the waistband, sort of like the seam allowance of the waist on both sides, on both the main and the lining. I sewed that to each other just to keep things from moving around too much. And then I also went ahead and flipped everything right side out, and I top stitched all around the neck and front edges.
Okay, so let's put this on and see. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's gonna do really nicely. Oh, love it. Okay, that's so cool. It has pockets. Oh, that is really cool. Okay, cool. I'm really excited now.
Now it's time to do the armholes. Basically, I wanted to press the seam allowance on the lining and the outer main fabric in, and then just like pin it together and stitch, like top stitch it. But I found that really hard because it's rounded, right? So I went back and forward with it a bunch, and I think I ended up just folding it, like not actually pressing it and just like finger pressing, and just trying to fold it in and pin it. You can see me going back and forth and like thinking about like, is this gonna work? Is this not gonna work? Yeah, so yeah, that was it. Originally, if I could go back now, obviously when rewatching this, it's very obvious that I should have left the shoulder seams open, carried on, sewed everything together, and then once I'd attached the lining, I would attach it all around. So I would have the shoulder seams open, right? And I would attach the lining everywhere, turn it right side out, and then, and when I was attaching the lining, I would include the armhole. So I would attach it to the armholes, and then I would flip it right side out, still have the shoulder seams open, and then you could stitch the outer main fabric of the shoulder seams together, and then you would just hand stitch the lining of the shoulder seams together, and you would get a pretty much invisible finish. It's kind of what you do with like waistcoats and vests and stuff. So now I'm just going to level out the hem, make sure that it's, you know, nice and level, and then I'm just going to serge the whole thing together. Sometimes I'll do it separately and then kind of fold the outer over the lining, but in this case apparently I just serged it all together, and yeah, and then I folded it once and top stitched it in place, and that was it. Pressed it. Done. So at this point I thought I had a buttonhole guide for this dress, but I actually don't. So I figured out where I wanted the buttons to go, kind of eyeballed it a little bit. I knew that I wanted a couple buttons here and there, and then I just kind of like measured and did that. And then I went through my extensive button collection and trying to figure out what colors I wanted to use that fit the aesthetic, what sizes that were roughly the same, and trying to pair them up. So I ended up going with pink, yellow, green, and kind of making sure that I didn't have like two greens or two yellows in a row. And then I tried to make buttonholes that were the size of each button because they weren't all the same. And I didn't actually stitch the buttons down by machine. I stitched them by hand because some of them were, you know, some of them were 2 holes, some of them were 4, some of them were the ones where that they stand up, what they called. I can't remember the word, but like, you know, the ones.
It's been a month since I finished the last clip for this that you just watched, where I tried it on and like showed you the reveal, and I've worn it quite a lot. I do think that I need to add a little like fastener here at the waist, because I always have this problem with like shirt dresses and dresses like this, is that I get this like gaping here. I don't know what this is about. I don't know why, but I think it's probably something to do with the proportion of my waist to like my hip measurement, but I always get this gaping. I haven't done it yet because obviously I've only worn this around the house. I haven't actually worn it outside, but it's extremely comfortable to wear, like for my gardening, for, you know, sitting around the sewing room and making things, you know, working. that kind of thing. And it's really nice because I'm really glad that I made it quite baggy, because I think I will get to layer it in the winter. I also think that I made 1 or 2 buttonholes too big for their respective buttons, because sometimes they'll pop open. But I think that's something that I can fix really easily with a little stitch. So those are just things that you notice as you wear the garment and that you probably don't notice the day. Yeah, I'm really happy that I made it. I really love how it fits. I love how it feels. I love the pockets. They're ginormous. That is the opening to the pocket. That is gigantic. So yeah, enough rambling. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do give me a like if you liked the video, and subscribe, I guess, to the channel if you haven't done that already. It's the very early stages of this channel, so I'm sure you haven't. So please consider subscribing. It would really mean a lot to me. What else do I have to say at this point? You can follow me on Instagram. My handle is @CraftyOlga, but it will be linked below. You can also follow me on Minerva.com, and my handle is also below. And you can also follow me on TikTok, I guess. I just started on there and don't really understand how the whole thing works, but I'm really trying. You want to like be my friend or follow me or whatever it is that you do on there. Instagram's a really good place where I actually post all the time. I put stories up and stuff, and that's like the one that I use the most. So if you want to like know what's up and follow along with what I'm doing in real time, then that's a good place to do, because by the time you actually watch this, it's been months since I actually made this dress. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.